is going on, ladies and dental tubers? It is your favorite geek on a bike again. I just picked my motorcycle up from Rochester Motorsports. My baby finally hit 30,000 miles, and she needed a few things. I had the rear tire replaced, I had spark plugs changed, coolant replaced, and oil done. And I can tell you, she feels a little bit better. She feels a little bit happier than before, and she needed it. That coolant did not look good. And while I put a few break-in miles on my rear tire, I actually have a topic I want to talk about. And that just so happens to be, are sport bikes dying out? And the reason I want to talk about this today is because I read an article last night that said that sport bike sales are down 4.7%. Now that's not a significant drop, but it is saying that sport bikes are trending downwards over the years. Because it prompted me to look up statistics of sport bike sales in the past 10 years. And sport bikes made a huge incline up to about 2005. And then they slowly started downhill. And then at about 2006, 2008, dropped off completely. I'm talking a significant drop off. I'm talking like 45% in 2 years. Now, I'm not saying all of this because I want to convince all of you to go out and buy sport bikes. That's not it at all. In fact, if you're going to ride, you should probably ride something that you're going to enjoy. And if sport bikes aren't that, it's a matter of fact. But my question is the sport bike segment at risk of dying? Which my answer is, of course not. Look at all the recent advancements that sport bikes are finally coming out with. All your 1000cc bikes, they're constantly in a head-to-head competition with each other. Look at how big of a hit the R1 was, and how big of a hit this new R6 is going to be. Suzuki finally updated the GSX-R 1000, giving it an all-new engine, updating the looks finally. It took forever. Now, do I think sport bikes are going to make as big of a comeback as they did back in the 80s and 90s, early 2000s? Probably not. Because it's looking like the millennial generation is less interested in going fast and more finding a sport heritage bike. That's probably why scramblers are doing so amazing. But realistically, your traditional sport bikes aren't practical. They're uncomfortable, they don't have proper gearing for normal commute, they're very obviously race replicas. Granted, sport bikes have come a long way from the big block wars, where you had the Hayabusa and the ZX-10, then the ZX-14, and they just kept butting heads until like people were finally like, that's enough, that is enough. Rumor has it the Japanese government had something to intervene with that, but nobody really knows. Now I think the focus is more of what can we do to make this faster without getting ridiculously big. And the solution is obviously cut weight. Better traction control, better ABS, better rider ergos. I mean, there's a reason that the R1 is dominating MotoGP right now. But you might be asking, hey, if sport bikes are doing so awful, why do the companies keep developing brand new sport bikes? And the answer is simple. Competition and R&D. They develop these new technologies for the super bikes, and then they'll trickle down into their sub bikes. So you start finding like the Yamaha's XSR 900 has a lot of the same technologies that the R1 would have. Granted, it doesn't have everything, but smaller, lower-priced bikes are starting to get better and better technology as time goes on. And that's because it's getting cheaper to create, because they're finding ways to simplify it. And I think that's a good thing. I think that the superbike market is very important to motorcycling as a whole. Because as long as the Japanese and the Europeans are head-to-head with each other, developing all these new technologies, that's only better for the riders like you and me. Because though I appreciate superbikes for what they are, I don't think I'd ever actually own one. And yes, I am riding a Sport Tourer, which is technically a sport bike, I know. But this has a lot more comfortable ergonomics. If I'd known I'd be going this slow, I wouldn't have came this way. But you want my honest opinion on what the best thing that came out of the sport bike market? Super nakeds. The naked bike market has exploded in the past 5 years, and I love it. As you can't tell, because I ride a Street Fighter, I ride a semi-naked. Granted, I have the half fairing in the front, but it's still considered a naked bike because I have a completely exposed frame and engine. And naked bikes are the more practical street alternative to riding a sport bike. Your gearing is taller for longer commutes, your ergonomics are usually a little bit more upright, and they usually share a lot with their super bike counterparts. But I'll talk about nakeds in a completely different episode. This episode is all about sport bikes. Now, do I think you should go out and buy a GSX-R 1000 or an R6? Absolutely not. That's why companies are getting more into the entry-level motorcycles like the R3 in the BMW, I think it's the R350, I'm not sure. But companies are starting to recognize a lull in their sport bike sales, and they're acting appropriately, because any new rider who wants a sport bike doesn't want to hop onto an 80-90 horsepower 600. They want something that they can ease into, that can get them comfortable with the ergonomics, comfortable with the way the bike rides, and just generally get them interested. Find out if they really want a bigger sport bike. Would I like to see the sport bike market improve? Of course. I think everybody should have a little bit of an adrenaline junkie in them. I think it's healthy. But do I want every Busa bro on the road hauling past cars on the highway? I don't think so, man. But basically, if I were to cap this conversation off with a statement about what I think the sport bike market's going to look like in the next 10 years, I think it's either going to level out or slowly start to improve again. But by no means do I think it's ever going to be back to its heyday, back in the 80s and 90s, where everybody wanted one, man. I remember that. But you know what, man? These are all just my thoughts, my opinions, and everyone's entitled to one. But as always, comment in the video. I'd like to hear it. Hit a like if you liked it. Hit a dislike if you didn't like it. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of my videos. And follow me on Twitter at 8-Bit Motovlog. Follow me on Instagram at 8-Bit Motovlog. And guess what? I got a Facebook finally. Head over there at 8-Bit Rider. Hit me up on all my social medias, guys. I'm always posting stuff on Instagram. I'm not really that active on Twitter. And the Facebook, I'm going to try and be better with it. I just started it. Thanks for tuning in. I hope to be back really, really soon with another motovlog. Until next time, guys, ride safe, alright?